They finally found Earth. Part 5. The Reckoning Commander. Tay stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship and made a decision that broke his heart. After 2 months of battle, after countless defeats and humiliations, he knew the truth. The Valoran Empire could not conquer Earth dot around him. His officers waited in tense silence. They knew what he was thinking. They could see the pain in his eyes. "How many ships do we have left?" Tay asked quietly. Sora checked their console. 117 combat-ready vessels, Commander. Another 43 are too damaged to fight. Tay closed his eyes. He had arrived with 3,000 ships. Now barely 100 remained. The rest were destroyed, captured, or floating as wreckage in Earth's orbit. And our soldiers? Less than 80,000 remain. Most are trapped in hostile territory with no hope of rescue. The numbers told a story of complete disaster. The greatest military force in Valoran history had been broken by a species they had considered primitive. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was real. "Commander," General Byun said nervously, "what are your orders?" Tay took a long breath. He thought about his career, his reputation, his pride. He thought about the High Council and how they would react to this failure. He thought about the history books that would remember him as the commander who lost to the humans. But mostly, he thought about his soldiers. The ones who were still alive. The ones who could still be saved. "We retreat," he said. The words felt like poison in his mouth. Silence fell over the bridge. Officers stared at him in disbelief. "Commander," Admiral Kyung protested, "we cannot simply leave. The High Council will never accept this. They will demand that we continue fighting until victory." "Victory is impossible," Tay replied coldly. "I will not sacrifice more soldiers for a war we cannot win. Prepare the fleet for jump. We are leaving." On the surface of Earth, the remaining Valoran ground forces were in chaos. When word spread that the fleet was retreating, panic set in. Soldiers abandoned their positions and tried to reach extraction points. But there were not enough ships to save everyone. General Hannah watched the retreat from her command center with grim satisfaction. "Do not let them escape easily," she ordered. "Attack any ship that tries to land. Force them to leave their people behind." It was a cruel order, but Hannah knew it was necessary. Every Valoran soldier left on Earth was one less soldier they would face in the future. And she had no intention of letting the enemy leave without paying a final price. "Commander," Nari led the human fleet in a relentless pursuit. Her ships harried the retreating Valorans, destroying any vessel that slowed down or broke formation. It was no longer a battle. It was a rout. Captain Minho flew his fighter alongside the fleet, watching the enemy run. He felt no joy. Too many friends had died. Too many cities had burned. But he felt pride. Pride in humanity. Pride in what they had accomplished. "Look at them run," his wingman said over the radio. "They came to conquer us, and now they flee like cowards." "They are not cowards," Minho replied. "They are soldiers who followed orders. The ones who sent them here are the true enemy. And someday, we will face them too." On the Valoran flagship, Commander Tay prepared to jump away from Earth forever. His fleet was in formation. The jump drives were charged. There was only one thing left to do. "Open a communication channel to Earth," he ordered. "All frequencies, Commander?" Sora looked at him with confusion. "Why?" "Because they deserve to hear this. And because the galaxy needs to know." The channel opened, and Tay spoke in a voice that carried across the planet and into space. "People of Earth, this is Commander Tay of the Valoran Empire. I came to your world believing it would fall like countless others before it. I was wrong. You have fought with courage that I have never seen. You have shown strength that I did not believe possible. Your unity, your determination, your refusal to surrender, even when all seemed lost. These things have humbled me." He paused, and when he continued, his voice was heavy with warning. "But know this. I am only one commander. The Valoran Empire is vast, and there will be others who come. They will learn from my mistakes. They will bring more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. You have won this battle, but the war for your survival has only begun." He took a final breath before speaking his last words. "Earth is not prey. Earth is the predator. I will make sure the galaxy knows this. Perhaps it will save some foolish commander from making the same mistake I did. Farewell, humans. May your future be as bright as your spirits." The transmission ended. The Valoran fleet engaged their jump drives and vanished into the stars. In seconds, the skies above Earth were empty. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, from every corner of the planet, cheers erupted. People poured into the streets, laughing and crying and embracing each other. Church bells rang. Fireworks exploded. The war was overdone in her underground command center. General Hana allowed herself a moment of emotion. Tears streamed down her face as she listened to the celebrations. They had died. Against all odds, they had won. Colonel Dawn handed her a glass of water. "You did it, General. You saved humanity." Hannah shook her head. "We all did it. Every soldier who fought. Every scientist who worked. Every citizen who refused to give up hope. This victory belongs to all of us." In the Pacific Research Facility, Dr. Seok was already working on new designs. More ships. Bigger ships. Weapons that could defend Earth from any threat. "This is just the beginning," he told his team. "Commander Tay was right. Others will come. We must be ready." Commander Nari returned to Earth as a hero. Parades were held in her honor. Children wanted to be like her. But she knew there was still much work to do. "We have built 12 ships," she said to General Hana. "We need 1,200. 12,000. We need a fleet that can defend not just Earth, but all of humanity wherever we go." Captain Minho hung up his flight suit and spent time with his sister Yuna. They had both lost friends in the war. They had both seen things that would haunt them forever. But they had each other. What now? Yuna asked as they watched the sunset over a healing world. "Now we rebuild," Minho replied. "We heal, we grow stronger. And when the next enemy comes, we will be ready." Across the galaxy, word spread of what had happened at Earth. The Valoran High Council raged at Commander Tay's failure, but they also listened to his warning. Other empires heard the story too. A small blue planet had defeated one of the most powerful fleets in the known universe. It seemed impossible. It seemed like legend, but it was true. Earth began to change. Nations that had fought each other for centuries now worked together. Resources that had been wasted on petty conflicts were redirected to building humanity's future. A new space fleet took shape, larger and more powerful than anything before. And above all, humanity learned the most important lesson of all. They were not alone in the universe. There were dangers out there that they had never imagined. But there were also possibilities. New worlds to explore. New friends to make. New challenges to overcome. General Hana stood on the newly built observation deck of Earth's first space station, looking out at the stars. Behind her stood Commander Nari, Captain Minho, Dr. Seok, and dozens of other heroes who had saved humanity. "They will come again," Hana said. "Maybe not the Valorans, but others. The galaxy is full of those who would conquer and destroy." "Let them come," Nari replied. "We will be waiting." Minho nodded, his eyes hard with determination. "They thought we were weak. They thought we would be easy to conquer. They learned the truth." Seok smiled and looked at the new ships being built in the construction yards nearby. "And when the next enemy arrives, we will teach them the same lesson." Hana turned to face her friends, her family, her fellow survivors of humanity's greatest test. She raised her hand in salute. "For Earth," she said. "For Earth," they replied as one. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, Commander Tay's message continued to spread. A warning and a tribute. A story that would be told for generations. Earth was no longer a hidden world. Earth was now a legend. And humanity was just getting started. They finally found Earth. Part 4. The turning tide. 6 weeks had passed since the invasion began. In that time, the Valorans had learned a terrible truth. Humans were not like other conquered species. Humans did not know how to give up. Commander Tay stood in his private quarters, staring at casualty reports. 800 ships destroyed. 50,000 soldiers dead or missing. Supply lines constantly attacked. His mighty fleet was bleeding, and he could not stop it. There was a knock on his door. "Enter," he said tiredly. Sora walked in, her face troubled. "Commander, we have lost contact with Orbital Station 7. "Lost contact? How?" "We are not certain. But our last transmission from them showed human ships approaching. Ships we have never seen before." Tay felt his blood run cold. "Human ships? That is impossible. They do not have ships capable of space travel at this level. It appears they do now. On the other side of the planet, in the hidden Pacific Research Facility, Dr. Siok watched his creation with pride. 12 human warships, built in secret over the past month. They were smaller than Valoran vessels, but they were fast and deadly. Beautiful, are they not? He said to Commander Nari, the woman chosen to lead the new fleet. Nari nodded. She was a naval officer who had commanded submarines before the invasion. Now she commanded something far more impressive. "You have done incredible work, Doctor. These ships will change everything." Siok smiled sadly. Many people died to make this possible. Workers who toiled without rest. Scientists who sacrificed their health. Soldiers who gave their lives to protect this facility. These ships carry the hopes of all humanity. Nari placed her hand on his shoulder. "We will not let them down." She boarded her flagship, a vessel named Hope's Fire. The crew was a mix of soldiers, pilots, and volunteers from around the world. They were nervous but determined. For the first time, humans would fight the Valorans in space. "All ships, this is Commander Nari. We have trained for this moment. We have dreamed of this moment. Today, we stop being victims. Today, we become the hunters. Launch." The 12 ships rose from their hidden underwater base and shot into the sky. Within minutes, they were in orbit. The Valorans detected them immediately and sent 30 fighters to intercept. "Incoming enemy fighters," the sensor officer reported. "They outnumber us significantly." Nari smiled grimly. "Then let us show them what humans can do. All ships, attack formation Delta. Fire at will." The battle was brief but shocking. The human ships moved with speed and coordination that surprised the Valorans. Their weapons, based on reverse-engineered alien technology, punched through enemy shields with devastating effect. In 10 minutes, all 30 Valoran fighters were destroyed. Humanity had not lost a single ship. When the report reached Commander Tay, he could not believe it. "This cannot be real," he said. "Show me the sensor data." He watched the recording of the battle 3 times. Each time, he felt more afraid. The humans had adapted. They had learned. They had built their own weapons and ships. And they had won. "What have we awakened?" He whispered over the next 2 weeks. The tide of the war changed completely. Commander Nari's fleet attacked Valoran positions without mercy. They destroyed supply ships, rescued prisoners, and protected human bases from orbital bombardment. On the ground, the resistance grew stronger. With the skies contested, Valoran troops could no longer count on air support. Battles that once seemed hopeless became winnable. Captain Minho was given command of a new squadron of human fighters. He trained young pilots and led them into battle after battle. His legend grew with each victory. Remember, he told his students, technology is not everything. Heart matters more. The Valorans fight because they are ordered to. We fight because we have everything to lose. That makes us stronger. Yuna continued to coordinate resistance cells around the world. Her network of spies and saboteurs disrupted Valoran operations at every turn. She knew the location of every enemy patrol, every supply depot, every weakness in their defense. General Hana directed the overall strategy from her underground command center. She knew they could not win by force alone. They needed to break the enemy's will to fight. Commander Tay is the key, she told her staff. He is a proud warrior. He has never been defeated. His confidence is both his strength and his weakness. If we can make him doubt himself, his entire fleet will falter. She devised a bold plan. A plan that would either win the war or lose everything. We will attack their flagship, she announced. We will hit them where they feel safest. We will show them that nowhere is beyond our reach. The plan was risky. The Valoran flagship was protected by hundreds of ships. Its shields were the strongest in the fleet. Its weapons could destroy a city in seconds. But Commander Nari was confident. We have learned how they think. We know their patterns. We can find a way through their defenses. The attack was scheduled for 3 days later. During that time, every available resource was devoted to preparation. New weapons were built. Battle plans were reviewed 100 times. Pilots trained until they could fly their routes blindfolded. On the day of the attack, Commander Nari gathered her crew on the Bridge of Hope's Fire. Today we do something no one believed possible, she said. We attack the heart of the enemy fleet. Many of us may not return. But if we succeed, we will prove that humanity cannot be conquered. We will show the universe that Earth is not prey. Earth is the predator. The crew cheered. They were afraid, but they were also proud. They were making history. The human fleet launched from hidden bases around the world. They moved fast and quiet, using asteroids and space debris to hide their approach. When they finally appeared on Valoran sensors, they were already within striking distance. Enemy ships detected. A Valoran officer shouted on the flagship bridge. They are heading directly toward us. Commander Tay could not believe it. The humans were actually attacking his flagship. It was either madness or genius. All ships, defensive formation. He ordered, destroy them. The Valoran fleet moved to intercept, but the human ships were faster and more agile. They dodged and weaved through enemy fire, getting closer with every second. Commander Nari's voice rang out over the communication channel. All ships, fire on the flagship. Everything you have. Dozens of missiles and energy beams shot toward the massive Valoran vessel. Its shields flickered under the assault. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship. Shields failing. An officer cried. Hull damage on multiple decks. Commander Tay grabbed the console to steady himself as explosions rocked his ship. For the first time in his long career, he felt real fear. Not fear of death, but fear of defeat. Fear that the stories he would leave behind would not be of glory, but of failure. The human ships pulled back, their attack complete. They had not destroyed the flagship, but they had proven their point. They could hurt the most powerful ship in the Valoran fleet as the human ships retreated to safety. Commander Nari sent one final transmission to the enemy flagship. That was just a taste, she said. Next time, we will not stop. In his damaged command center, Commander Tay stared at the screen. He knew, in that moment, that the war had changed forever. The hunters had become the hunted. They finally found Earth, Part 3. The awakening Captain Minho flew his fighter jet through burning skies. Below him, The city of Seoul was in flames. Alien landing ships were descending everywhere, dropping thousands of Valoran soldiers onto the streets. The invasion had begun. Eagle 7, this is command, a voice crackled in his headset. Enemy fighters approaching from the north. 12 contacts. Minho checked his radar. The alien fighters were fast and deadly. In the first hours of the invasion, they had destroyed most of Earth's air forces. But some pilots, like Minho, were still alive. Still fighting. I see them, Minho replied. Engaging now. He pushed his throttle forward and flew straight at the enemy formation. His jet was old compared to their technology. His weapons were primitive. But Minho had something the aliens did not expect. He had experience. He had been flying for 15 years. He knew every trick, every maneuver, every way to survive in the sky. The alien fighters opened fire. Bright energy bolts shot past Minho's cockpit. He rolled left, then right, dodging with skills learned through years of training. He lined up his targeting system and fired his missiles. Two enemy fighters exploded in balls of fire. The other aliens scattered in confusion. They were not used to prey that fought back. Minho used their hesitation to his advantage. He dove low between the burning buildings of Seoul, leading the fighters into a maze of steel and concrete. Come and get me, he whispered underground. In a hidden resistance base, his sister Yuna watched his fight on a stolen alien communication screen. Her heart was pounding, but her hands were steady on the radio controls. Minho, there are ground troops moving toward position 7, she said. You need to pull them away. I see them, Minho replied. Give me 30 seconds. He pulled his jet up sharply, climbing toward the clouds. The alien fighters followed. As they rose higher, they moved away from the ground troops below. Exactly as Yuna had planned. Now. Yuna shouted into another radio channel. From hidden positions around the city, human resistance fighters attacked. They used captured alien weapons, homemade explosives, and pure determination. The ground troops, distracted by the aerial battle above, were caught by surprise. It was a small victory. A few dozen enemies killed. But in a war like this, small victories mattered. Across the planet, similar battles were being fought. In the mountains of South America, resistance fighters ambushed Valoran patrols. In the deserts of Africa, guerrilla units attacked supply lines. In the frozen lands of Russia, soldiers disappeared into the endless forests, striking and vanishing like ghosts. The Valorans had expected a quick conquest. They had expected surrender or complete destruction. Instead, they found an enemy that would not stop fighting. An enemy that learned and adapted. An enemy that refused to die. Commander Tae paced the bridge of his flagship with growing frustration. 3 weeks, he said angrily. 3 weeks and we still do not control this planet. The humans are more resilient than expected, Sora admitted. They hide in places we cannot find. They attack when we are weak and retreat when we are strong. They are learning to use our own weapons against us. This is unacceptable. Tae slammed his fist against the console. We have conquered entire star systems in less time. How can one primitive world cause us such problems? General Bian stepped forward nervously. Commander, we have lost 400 ships since the invasion began, mostly to guerrilla attacks and sabotage. Our soldiers are demoralized. They expected easy victory, but instead they face constant danger. Tae's eyes blazed with anger. Then we will show them no mercy. Increase orbital bombardment. Destroy their cities one by one until they surrender. Commander, Sora said quietly, we have already destroyed many cities. The humans respond by fighting harder. I do not believe more destruction will break their spirit. Then what do you suggest? Sora thought carefully before speaking. Perhaps we should try to understand them. Learn why they fight so fiercely. Find their weakness. Tay considered her words. He did not want to admit it, but she was right. Something about these humans was different from any enemy he had faced before. Very well, he said. Capture some of their leaders. We will question them and learn their secrets. The order went out to all Valoran forces. Priority targets were identified. Bounties were placed on human commanders. Patrols were increased around known resistance areas, but the humans were clever. They had learned to hide their leaders. They used decoys and false signals. They moved constantly, never staying in one place too long. In her underground base, General Hana reviewed reports from around the world. The news was mixed. They were losing more battles than they won. Casualties were mounting. Resources were running low. But they were still fighting. And that was what mattered. General, Colonel Dohan reported, we have received word from the Pacific Research Facility. Dr. Seok believes he has made a breakthrough. Hannah's eyes widened. Seok was the scientist in charge of reverse engineering alien technology. If he had good news, it could change everything. Connect me to him immediately. The screen flickered and a tired-looking man appeared. His clothes were wrinkled and his hair was messy, but his eyes were bright with excitement. General Hannah, I have done it. I have figured out how their jump drives work. Their jump drives? The technology that allows them to travel faster than light. We have successfully built a small prototype. It works. We can build ships that can match their speed. We can take the fight to them. For the first time in weeks, Hana felt real hope. How long until we can build a fleet? Siak's excitement faded slightly. That is the problem. We need resources. Rare metals. Advanced manufacturing. Things that are very hard to find during an invasion. Find what you need, Hana ordered. I will make sure you get it, even if I have to steal it from the aliens myself. In the skies above Seoul, Minho was running out of fuel. He had destroyed 5 more enemy fighters, but now his jet was badly damaged. Smoke poured from one engine. Warning lights flashed on every display. Yuna, he said into his radio, I need to land. Where is the nearest safe zone? There is a hidden airstrip 20 kilometers east. Can you make it? Minho looked at his fuel gauge. It showed almost empty. I will try. He flew low over the ruined city, dodging alien patrols and burning buildings. His engine sputtered and coughed. Every second felt like an hour. Finally, he saw the hidden airstrip. It was camouflaged to look like farmland, but he knew the markings. He brought his jet down hard, skidding across the rough ground and crashing into a pile of hay. Resistance fighters ran to pull him from the cockpit. He was bruised and bleeding, but he was alive. Captain Minho, one of them said with awe, you are a legend. Everyone is talking about the pilot who fights the aliens in the sky. Minho shook his head. I am just a man who refuses to give up. Like all of us. That night, in hidden bases around the world, humans shared stories of hope. They talked about pilots like Minho who defied impossible odds. They talked about scientists like Seok who worked day and night to give them new weapons. They talked about General Hana who led them with wisdom and courage. The Valorans had more ships, more soldiers, more technology. But the humans had something else. They had the fire of survival burning in their hearts, and that fire would not be easily put out. They finally found Earth. Part 2. First Contact General Hana ended the transmission and turned to face her command staff. The underground bunker was deep beneath the mountains of Korea, protected by hundreds of meters of rock and steel. Around her stood the finest military minds on Earth. Do you think they understood our message? Asked Colonel Dohan, her chief of operations. Hannah allowed herself a small smile. They understood. The question is whether they believed it. The bunker was alive with activity. Hundreds of officers and technicians worked at computer stations. Giant screens covered the walls, showing images from satellites, drones, and military bases around the world. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth was working together. It had not been easy. When the alien fleet was first detected 7 days ago, there was panic. Some governments wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to launch nuclear weapons right away. Religious groups declared it was the end of the world. Stock markets crashed. People ran to stores and bought everything they could carry. But slowly, order returned. The world leaders held emergency meetings. They argued and shouted at each other. But in the end, they realized a simple truth. Divided, humanity would fall. United, they might have a chance. The United Earth Defense Council was formed in just 3 days. It was the fastest political agreement in human history. General Hana, known for her brilliant tactical mind and calm under pressure, was chosen to lead the military response. Now, she watched the screens as the alien fleet moved into position above Earth. 3,000 ships. Each one was larger than anything humans had ever built. Their technology was far beyond human science. Their weapons could probably destroy entire cities in seconds. But Hana was not afraid. She had studied the alien transmissions. She had analyzed their formation. And she had found something interesting. "They are confident," she said to her staff. "Too confident. They have conquered many worlds, and they expect us to be like all the others. They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to surrender or die quickly." "With respect, General," said a Russian officer named Captain Yuri, "they may be right. Our weapons are nothing compared to theirs." "Our current weapons," Hana corrected him. "But humans are very good at learning. And we have been preparing for this moment for a long time." She pressed a button on her console. The main screen changed to show a secret military facility hidden deep in the Pacific Ocean. Inside were rows of strange machines. They did not look like normal human technology. 20 years ago, Hana explained, a small alien ship crashed in the ocean. It was not from this Valoran empire. It was from another race entirely. We recovered the ship and studied it in secret. We learned many things. The officers stared at the screen in amazement. "We could not build our own ships yet," Hana continued. "But we learned about their shield technology. We learned about their communication systems. And most importantly, we learned that we are not alone in the universe. We knew that someday someone would come. And we prepared." She switched the screen again, this time showing military bases around the world. At each base, soldiers were uncovering hidden weapons. Large cannons that did not look like anything the public had ever seen. "These are prototype energy weapons," Hana said. "They are based on the technology we recovered. They are not as powerful as what the Valorans have, but they may be enough to surprise them." At that moment, a young officer named Lieutenant Soman ran up to General Hana. Her face was pale with fear. "General, the alien fleet is moving. They are taking attack positions." Hana nodded calmly. "Then it begins. Send orders to all defense units. Activate Operation Iron Sky." The orders went out across the planet. In America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and every other continent, soldiers prepared for battle. Ordinary citizens were moved to underground shelters. Hospitals prepared for mass casualties. Children were told everything would be okay. Even though the adults were not sure. In space, Commander Tay watched the human preparations with growing irritation. "They are actually going to fight," Sora said. "I did not expect this." "It does not matter," Tay replied. "Their resistance is meaningless. Begin the attack. Destroy their military installations first, then their cities. Show them the price of defiance. The Valoran fleet opened fire. Bright beams of energy shot down from space toward Earth. They targeted military bases, power plants, and communication centers. But something unexpected happened. The first beams hit invisible barriers above the targets. Energy shields that the Valorans had not detected. The attacks were not completely blocked, but they were weakened significantly. Several bases survived attacks that should have destroyed them completely. What is this? Tay demanded. They have shield technology? It appears so, Commander. Low level, but functional. Tay's irritation turned to anger. Increase power. Overwhelm their shields. The fleet increased its attack. More and more energy rained down on Earth. The human shields began to fail. Bases exploded. Soldiers died. Fire spread across military installations around the world. But even as they died, the humans fought back. From the hidden bases, the prototype energy weapons fired into space. Most shots missed the fast-moving Valoran ships, but some hit their targets. Shields flickered on alien vessels. A few smaller ships took damage. Impossible, Tay whispered. Commander, we have lost 12 patrol ships, an officer reported. 12 ships. It was nothing compared to his fleet of 3,000. But it was 12 more ships than he had expected to lose Dot in the underground bunker. General Hana watched the battle unfold. The casualties were terrible. Thousands of soldiers were already dead. Entire bases had been wiped out. But they had proven something important. We can hurt them, she said. We can make them bleed. General, Colonel Doan said grimly, our shields are failing across all sectors. The energy weapons are overheating. We cannot maintain this defense much longer. I know, Hana replied. This was never meant to be our final defense. This was just the first test. Now we move to phase 2. She opened a communication channel to all human forces. All units, this is General Hana. Activate Protocol Shadow. I repeat, activate Protocol Shadow. Disappear. Around the world, surviving soldiers began to move. They abandoned their exposed bases and retreated to hidden locations. Underground tunnels, mountain caves, underwater facilities. Places the aliens did not know existed. The energy weapons stopped firing. The shields went offline. From space, it looked like humanity had been defeated. Commander Tay watched the screens with satisfaction. The human resistance had collapsed. Their weapons were silent. Their cities lay open and undefended. They have surrendered, General Bune said. We have won. But Sora was not so sure. She studied the sensor readings carefully. Commander, something is strange. We destroyed many of their bases, but we are not detecting the number of casualties we should expect. Many of their soldiers seem to have disappeared. Tay frowned. Disappeared? Where could they go? Sora did not have an answer. Far below, in the darkness beneath the earth, General Hana smiled. The real war was just beginning. They finally found Earth. Part 1. The Signal Commander Tay stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the stars. For 3,000 years, his people had searched. They had traveled across galaxies. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. But there was always one planet they could never find. Earth. The legend spoke of it. A small blue world filled with creatures called humans. The story said these creatures were weak. They fought among themselves. They destroyed their own home with pollution and war. The Valoran elders laughed at the tales of Earth. How could such foolish beings survive in a universe full of danger? But Tay did not laugh. He had studied the old records. He knew that somewhere out there, Earth was real. And today, after decades of searching, his sensors had finally found it. Commander, said his second officer, a tall female named Sora, we have confirmed the signal. The planet matches all known data about Earth. Tay felt his heart beat faster. He walked closer to the main viewing screen. There it was, a small dot of blue and green against the black emptiness of space. Such a tiny world. Such a fragile thing. How many ships do we have? Tay asked. 3,000 warships, Commander. 200 support vessels. 1 million soldiers ready for ground invasion. Tay nodded slowly. It was more than enough. His fleet had destroyed civilizations with far less. The Corvan Empire had fallen to just 500 of his ships. The Nexer Federation had surrendered after seeing his armada enter their system. No one in the known universe could match Valoran power. Send a message to the High Council, Tay ordered. Tell them we have found Earth. Tell them conquest will begin within the standard cycle. Sora bowed her head and left to carry out his command. Tay continued to stare at the blue planet. According to his data, the humans had only recently discovered space travel. They had sent small probes to nearby planets. They had built a few stations in orbit around their world. But they had no real fleet. No planetary shields. No weapons that could threaten his ships. Thought this would be easy. Perhaps too easy. He thought about what he would do after the conquest. The High Council would reward him greatly. He would become a hero of the Valoran Empire. Songs would be written about Commander Tay, the one who finally found Earth. The journey to Earth took 7 standard days. During this time, Tay prepared his forces. He held meetings with his generals. He studied maps of Earth's surface. He learned about human cities, their governments, their military forces. What he learned made him confident. The humans were divided into many nations. They spoke different languages. They often disagreed with each other. Some parts of their world were rich while others were poor. They had wars over religion, land, and resources. They are not united, General Bian said during one meeting. They will not be able to organize a defense. We will crush them one nation at a time. I agree, said Admiral Kyung. Their weapons are primitive. Projectile guns, chemical explosives, a few nuclear devices. Nothing that can penetrate our shields. Tay listened to his officers and felt satisfied. Everything was going according to plan. On the 7th day, the Valoran fleet arrived at Earth. 3,000 warships formed a massive wall of metal and fire in the sky, above the planet. The humans detected them immediately. Tay watched as their primitive satellites sent signals of alarm. He imagined the fear spreading across their world. Open a communication channel to all frequencies, Tay commanded. I will speak to them. The communication officer, a young male named June, worked quickly at his station. Channel open, Commander. They can hear you. Tay cleared his throat and spoke in a voice that was calm but powerful. People of Earth, I am Commander Tay of the Valoran Empire. We have come from across the stars. Your planet has been selected for integration into our empire. You will surrender immediately. You will hand over all weapons and military equipment. You will accept Valoran rule without resistance. If you obey, you will be treated fairly. If you resist, you will be destroyed. You have 1 Earth hour to respond. He ended the transmission and waited. The bridge was silent. Every officer watched the screens, waiting for the human response. Tay expected panic. He expected desperate pleas for mercy. He expected weak leaders begging for more time. But as the minutes passed, something strange happened. There was no response at all. Commander, June said nervously, we are detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface. What kind of activity? Military movement, sir? Large scale. All across the planet. Tay frowned. Show me. The main screen changed to show satellite images of Earth. What Tay saw confused him. Instead of chaos and panic, he saw organization. Military vehicles were moving in ordered formations. Aircraft were taking off from hundreds of bases. Ships were leaving ports and heading out to sea. They are not fighting each other, Sora observed quietly. They are working together. Before Tay could respond, his communication officer spoke again. Commander, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. It is coming from multiple sources simultaneously. Multiple sources? Yes, sir. It appears to be a unified response from all major Earth nations. Tay felt something cold in his chest. Something he had not felt in many years. It was the smallest hint of doubt. Play the message, he ordered. The screen flickered, and then a face appeared. It was a human female. She had dark hair and sharp eyes. She wore a military uniform, and her expression showed no fear at all. I am General Hana, she said. I speak for the United Earth Defense Council. We have received your message, Commander Tay. We have considered your demands carefully. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was as hard as steel. Our answer is no. We will not surrender. We will not submit. And we will not go quietly into the night. You have made a terrible mistake coming here. Earth is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have. Every man, every woman, every child who can hold a weapon. You want war? You will have it. And you will learn why humans have survived every challenge our universe has thrown at us. The transmission ended. Tay stared at the blank screen. The bridge was completely silent. For the first time in his long career, Commander Tay wondered if he had underestimated his enemy.